Hi SecurityTube. Welcome to the Wireless LAN Security Mega Primer Part 1. So this is a brand new exciting series which we are starting to understand Wi-Fi security in much better terms. So the first question of course arises as to why wireless security is important to begin with. Now, as we know, all of us are kind of hooked to one or more wireless devices. These could be our laptops using the internet over Wi-Fi. This could be our PDAs, wireless keyboard and mice, and whatnot. And this is where there has been a mass adoption, and wireless has pretty much become ubiquitous. Now, at the very same time, Wi-Fi or WLAN as you would generally know it has been integrated into practically all commonly used devices such as laptops, smartphones, and a lot of other embedded devices. And more often than not, these devices give you a gateway to connect to the internet. So, what are the challenges of wireless security? First and foremost, how do you protect something which you cannot see or feel, right? And this is where wireless provides a very unique challenge. I mean, there's a wireless network right now around me, but neither can I see it or sense it, using any one of our five senses. Now, another big problem is that wireless typically extends beyond the boundary of your four walls, which is if you're a company with a Wi-Fi setup, the wireless signal may reach well beyond your premises into the parking lot and beyond. And there is nothing much you can do to control this outflow. Also, because of mobile clients, your top executives and all of that may be taking their laptops out to coffee shops, airports, and connecting over Wi-Fi. This increases the security challenges. At the very same time, it is very difficult to locate a wireless hacker because he does not have to be physically anywhere on your network. He could be far away, use a directional antenna, and actually still communicate with various wireless devices on your network. And passive attacks, which is just probably sniffing, which we'll look at a little later, is almost undetectable and can be done miles away. Okay, so quickly coming back, another mega primer, and what is going to be the content? Well, my idea in this mega primer is to take up wireless security, start from the very basics, understand the basics of WLANs, the different packet types and headers and so on and so forth. Then move on to WLAN authentication, then WLAN encryption, look at various attacks and vulnerabilities and see how we can exploit them practically. Then move on to infrastructure level attacks, which is where how do we attack an enterprise wireless network. And then client side attacks as well as to how to attack handheld devices and laptops and whatnot. And then finally, how to build application attacks with wireless as a base, right? So quick disclaimer, like always, all of this is meant to be for educational purpose only and probably for penetration testing purposes. If you plan to use this for anything else, anything nefarious or malicious, please stop watching. Course license. Now, ST regulars may find this to be something very new in my slides. Now, I never wanted to go into licenses, but unfortunately, I found a lot many sites and people taking my slides and videos and actually pawning it off as their own. And this is the reason why I had to mention a course license. Currently, all courses, past, present, and probably ones which I'll make are going to be licensed with Creative Commons attribution, non-commercial, and non-derivative. You can look at the license there, which actually, and if you need any permission, basically to use a license or use this for commercial purposes or modify this course material and use it, you will need to contact me in the email addresses below and seek permission or buy a license, right? As far as personal use is concerned, students, InfoSec professionals, hobbyists, free. All course material was free, is free, will always remain free, okay? Okay, so now coming on to a little bit more interesting slide. What is the wireless gear we will use? Now, basically, we'll require two laptops at the very least. One would be the attacker laptop, the other would be the victim. Then of course we would require an access point so that we can all connect through it and do various attacks. Then an external Wi-Fi card, which we'll come to in a bit, which will actually be used by the attacker machine. And then probably a couple of smartphones. This is optional, but it would be interesting to see how smartphones can also be attacked wirelessly. Okay, so the external Wi-Fi card. Now, you have a lot of options, and people who've already done a bit of Wi-Fi hacking may have a choice of their own. Go ahead with it. In all of my videos, I will be using the Alpha Networks AWUS 036H USB-based Wi-Fi card, which is capable of transmitting at a maximum wattage of 1 watt. And the beauty is this card is already well integrated into Backtrack. It allows for packet sniffing and packet injection out of the box with Backtrack. And at the very same time, it's pretty cheap. $37 is what it is retailing for on Amazon. Have a look at this link or search for it. And I would really recommend this card for any Wi-Fi hacking exercise. I think there's a new one out as well with an N or something like that at the end, the model number. But from what I've heard, that it's not still well supported by a lot of hacking tools. Anyway, this is the one we will use for our purpose. The software setup. Now this once again is open to what you want, but what I am going to use is Backtrack in VirtualBox. I'm going to be running all of these simulations on my Mac, which will be the host machine, and Backtrack is going to be the guest on VirtualBox. And we are going to connect our Alpha wireless card in the previous slide over USB, right? Other configurations are also possible. You could have an Intel based PC, and you could just probably install Backtrack on it, or kind of just boot up with the live CD and so on and so forth. I leave that to you. This is the setup I will be using. Okay, so let's quickly set up our wireless card onto the Backtrack instance. Now I've already installed Backtrack 4R2 in a virtual machine. I leave this part to you because this is just too trivial to kind of go and repeat. If you're getting stuck here, I would really encourage that you first go back, understand a lot about computer systems, then come back to this video tutorial. Installing Backtrack in a VM should be very, very, very simple, right? Okay, so how do we start? Now, here is my Alpha wireless card, which I'm going to be using for all of these experiments. And I am using a D-Link access point. So I've already set this up, but currently I've not set up anything on the USB. So what I'm going to do is just connect the Alpha card to a USB port on the Mac, right? Now what we do is, let's just ensure that this Alpha card is going to be dedicated to this virtual machine and will be used by it. Let's click on USB. This opens this up. Enable USB controller if you already haven't. Please note that the PC version of VirtualBox may little bit differ in the whole UI, but ideally you should kind of get it. I mean, it's a simple piece of software. Simple UI. Software is definitely complicated with all the simulations and everything, the operating system and the emulations, I'm sure. Click on add device, and what we are interested in is the RTL8187 wireless, right? Which is the Realtek chipset adapter. So you added this, click OK. Now just remove the Alpha card, plug it off from the USB, and what we could do is, let's just go ahead and boot up the Backtrack machine, right? So as we can clearly see, there's one device already added to it. So let's boot Backtrack up. This should take a minute. So while this is booting, what we want to really test is that even if runtime we kind of plug in, plug out the USB, well, the connection should go to the backtrack instance and it should be able to load up the right drivers and things like that, right? So let's wait for a bit. This video series is going to be really interesting, and let's kind of log in. So root, password is tour. Let's hit StartX so that we can get a good UI. Right, awesome. And now let's go full screen. Okay, let's open up prompt. Now let's do an ifconfig -a, and what you would notice is basically that the Ethernet interface is available and the loopback interface is available. Of course, only the loopback is going to be up because backtrack by default doesn't bring up any interface. Now let's do the following. Let's plug in our card over USB. Give it a brief second and let's do an ifconfig -a. And now if you notice, we have a new interface, WLAN 0. So this is what our alpha wireless card device actually is. So now this alpha card has been recognized by the backtrack VM and the drivers have been loaded, right? Could just do a quick ls mod to look at the drivers which have been loaded. Previous versions of backtrack, well, you had to kind of load many of these drivers by yourself, but as you can see, we have the drivers loaded here, the RTL series 8187 and so on and so forth, right? Okay, so now let's go back to our presentation. And basically what we've accomplished here is we've installed the card comfortably in backtrack, ensured all the drivers etc. have been correctly loaded, right? Okay, so that's all for part 1. Hope you enjoyed it. In the next video, we will look at how to bring up your card, how to put it in something called monitor mode and start sniffing the air. As always, please leave your feedback behind. It's very, very, very important to me. And this week you're going to probably enjoy because a lot of videos are going to come as far as the wireless LAN security mega primer is concerned. Okay, enjoy. Bye-bye. Thank you. Hi SecurityTube. Welcome to the Wireless LAN Security Mega Primer Part 1. So this is a brand new exciting series which we are starting to understand Wi-Fi security in much better terms. See or feel, right? And this is where wireless provides a very unique challenge. I mean, there's a wireless network right now around me, but neither can I see it or sense it, using any one of our 5 senses. Now, another big problem is that viruses such as laptops, smartphones, and a lot of other embedded devices. And more often than not, these devices give you a gateway to connect to the internet. So what are the challenges of wireless security? First and foremost, how do you protect something which you cannot see, mice and whatnot? And this is where there has been a mass adoption and wireless has pretty much become ubiquitous. Now, at the very same time, Wi-Fi or WLAN as you would generally know it has been integrated into practically all commonly used devices. So the first question of course arises, as to why wireless security is important to begin with. Now, as we know, all of us are kind of hooked to one or more wireless devices. These could be our laptops using the internet over Wi-Fi. This could be our PDAs, wireless keyboard and